Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I just finished Bernard Cornwell's Warlord Chronicles Trilogy, which is a gritty, grounded retelling of the legend of King Arthur. It is a historically realistic take on the legend that I don't think we have quite seen before in the other entries of the King Arthur canon. So now that I've finished the series, I think what I'll do is I will just provide a quick plot outline for you on the whole trilogy and the setup, and then I'll give you a quote that I think captures really the essence of what the flavor is that Bernard Cornwell is going for, just to give you, further insight to see if this is a trilogy that you think is for you. And then at the end, I will give you my rating on this book as well as the other two books in the trilogy. So although this is an Arthurian legend, most of this story, in fact, all the story, is told through the eyes of the actual main character of Durfal Cadarn. Durfal was taken in by a wizard, or as they say in this universe, a druid named Merlin, whom, we all know at this point. He was taken in by Merlin at a young age, and he trained to become a warrior. When Durfal becomes older, he becomes one of the premier warriors in all of Britain, or as they say in this book, Dumnonia, and he serves under the High King, Uther. King Uther has no heirs to his throne, and he's getting up there in age. When his wife becomes pregnant, they're obviously hoping that it's a boy so Uther can continue his line and have an heir to the throne. So the baby is born, and it is in fact a boy whose name is Mordred. Since Uther is dying and his new infant son Mordred won't be able to rule for quite some time, Uther makes Britain's best and most famous warrior, Arthur, swear an oath that he will protect Mordred until he was old enough to assume the throne. When High King Uther dies, a power vacuum is left. This trilogy of books chronicles Arthur's attempt to keep King Uther's oath in protecting his son Mordred. All the while, a divided Britain seeks to take advantage of this power vacuum now created in Uther's death. And oh, by the way, Arthur also is attempting to ward off foreign invaders called the Saxons, who are attempting to take Britain for themselves. Durfal becomes Arthur's right-hand man in all of this, while the characters whom you may have come to know throughout the years in Arthurian legends like Galahad, Guinevere, Lancelot, those characters factor heavily in both hindering and helping Arthur's ability to maintain peace and power. So I'll share with you a quote from this third book, Excalibur, that I think conveys the essence of this series pretty well. But first we've got to set the tone here. Nope, too epic. I'm thinking less Star Wars epic-y, more like Hobbit-y. What's that song they sing in The Hobbit? Yep, that's it. That's the one. Like if Matthew McConaughey was just humming to himself, like... All right, here we go. Gotta get our grunge voice on for this.
Battle is a matter of inches, not miles. The inches that separate a man from his enemy. You smell the mead on their breath. Hear the breath in their throats. Hear their grunts. Feel them shift their weight. Feel their spittle on your eyes. And you look for danger. Look back into the eyes of the next man you must kill. Find an opening, take it. Close the shield wall again, step forward. Feel the thrust of the men behind. Half stumble on the bodies of those you've killed. Recover, push forward, and afterwards, you recall little except the blows that so nearly killed you. You work and push and stab to make an opening in their shield wall, and then you grunt and lunge and slash to widen the gap, and only then does the madness take over as the enemy breaks, and you can begin to kill like a god because the enemy is scared and running, or scared and frozen, and all they can do is die while you harvest souls.
Well, how about that for some good family fun reading? Okay, kids, time to go to bed. That's it for the night. Daddy will explain harvesting souls tomorrow. So I thought that was a pretty good quote that really captured the feel of this book and the feel of the trilogy overall. It's a great piece of writing by Bernard Cornwell. And to give him credit, he describes battle phenomenally. The level of detail that he provides, he makes you feel like you're there. We also get a really good insight into which gods the pagans worshipped. I mean, there were dozens of gods, and what did that worship look like? That theme of, I guess, just religion in all the forms that it possibly can take, that really permeates the whole structure of this story and has a tremendous influence on the many plot lines. And for me personally, while the story arc is rather compelling, the events unfold pretty consistently according to the same formula. Characters prepare for battle, chaos ensues, and then, a relative peace comes after that battle. And a running joke throughout this series between Durfel and Arthur is that, after every battle, they're like, this is the last one. Once we win this one, we're just going to retire to the countryside and all will be well. And that's the joke, is because there is always another battle. And they both kind of know that, but after each one, they're like, man, this is exhausting work. And so I mentioned that formula with Cornwell's story because for me, I think that through 3 books, once you really understand that that's the rhythm of how this is going to go, that formula made things less interesting to me, less exciting, because it just sort of became predictable. And now that I finish it, I can say that overall, I think less of the trilogy as a whole than apparently the reviews on Goodreads and Amazon would indicate. And I think that just speaks to, honestly, more of the kind of stories that I prefer and how those stories are told, rather than, the quality of Bernard Cornwell's writing or his story structure or things like that. Some character arcs were interesting and some character developments were interesting, but I didn't feel like it had the punch to make me go, oh wow, like he really, put an exclamation point at the end of the sentence. He really landed the plane with this 3rd book. So I give this 3 stars out of 5. The first book in the series, I would give 3.5 stars out of 5. The second book, which is Enemy of God, I think the series peaks with the middle entry, which I would give 4 out of 5. I think that it really stirred the pot with the characters and presented a lot of political intrigue, that sort of Game of Thrones vibe. But again, if you are somebody who likes historical realism and you like that level of detail in your books, and you're looking for a King Arthur story, then this is a blend of all 3 of those things. But that's it for this review. I hope you got some value out of this. If you did, please hit the like button down below and comment. Let me know your thoughts. But thanks for sticking around, and I hope to see you in another video.